So make sure that you're setting yourself up to sit comfortably so that we can center. You know, it's a lot going on. It's so much information. It's overwhelming. It's okay to give yourself a break. Once you've settled in, let's deepen the breath, because expanding the diaphragm will help release tension in your body, especially in the low back. As you take that deep inhalation, feel the lower part of your rib cage expanding left and right and front and back. That way you know you're using all the edges of your diaphragm. And then let the exhale softly, slowly leave the body. Don't let it just rush out. Give it like a soft whisper leaving the body. And then, as you continue with that deep inhalation, where you can feel the four sides of your diaphragm expanding, and that slow exhale, also begin to become aware of your facial muscles, and are you able to soften and relax them? At the next exhale, just let your breath return to its quiet, soft pattern. And what we hope we did in just those few moments of practicing that expanded inhalation, we've helped to calm your nervous system, even if it was just a wee bit. Bring your hands to your heart, and for a moment in your quietness, inside your heart, set the intention for your practice today. Which means this could be for your spine, for your health, for your well-being, to expand your consciousness. We all have a different reason for our practice. And this moment is to acknowledge that reason. Therefore, helping to make it real. As you exhale now, bow the head and release the hands and open your eyes. Good. Now take a deep breath in, reach the arms up and interweave your fingers. Now the shoulders carry a lot of tension related to neck and shoulder discomfort, also that area between the shoulder blades. So reach up and let your head bow. Now if you have a shoulder issue and this is difficult, then take the hands apart somewhat and reach up. You don't have to have the fingers interlaced. But if you can get there and squeeze those arms till the elbows straighten, that's nice. Let's actually bend the elbows out to the side and switch the interlace of the fingers and repeat. And now take your arms out to the side. Let's take the arms to parallel to the floor, and then bring your fingers back toward your shoulders and open up your wrist. And then lower the arms all the way. Just shake your hands out, roll your shoulders around, and now we'll twist to your right. Inhale, feel your lifts, and exhale, turn. Now let's release, and we'll go to the other side. Inhale, get the lifts, and exhale, turn to the left side now. And then release. I pause now at this interesting mirroring to a computer. It's very interesting. Now let's go ahead and stretch our legs out and lie all the way down. We'll be doing a warm-up that many of you are very familiar with. It'll be the full body stretch, single knee to chest, double knee to chest, and then hold the knees to the chest and just rock side to side. So I'll do that with you, but you can always keep up and see what I'm up to if you need a visual. I do believe, yep, my mat is in your view. And then when you lie down, take your arms over your head, make sure that everything is clear. If you're really super close to a piece of furniture or a wall, try to adjust yourself so your arms don't bump into something. Inhale and exhale, stretch your arms and legs apart. Inhale and relax. Again, and as you're exhaling and stretching the arms and legs apart, try to feel that the vertebrae are actually opening up, more space in your spine. Inhale, relax, and one more time. Now single knee to chest. On your exhale, bring the right knee to the chest and give it a squeeze. And you can lift the upper body up to meet the knee as long as you don't close your throat or lift your chin and compress your neck. So you can see I'm not closing the throat or overlifting the chin and making my neck feel bad as we move from leg to leg. 3 times on each side. And remember, the reason for this is to help getting the shoulder joints, the knee joints, and the hip joints warmed up. Once you've done your last one, which I'm assuming will be on the left like me, you can go ahead and start doing double knee to chest. On your inhale, stretch out, and exhale, double knee to chest. You can also lift the upper body, but if it bothers your neck, keep your neck and shoulders down. Also, when you bring the knees to the chest, if it bothers your low back, just stretch the weight of the legs all the way out. Just place your feet on the floor. And one more time, exhale, and bring the knees to the chest, and then rest. Now let's do the side to side rock and roll. Bring the knees to the chest, squeeze tight, and rock side to side. Okay, now we've got that low back massage. If you let the knees go a little bit, you can massage across the sacrum. You can even rock the legs around in a circle a little bit and just massage all kinds of places. You can do that a couple of times. Now let's do the bent knee twist. Stretch the left leg out, place the right foot on the left thigh, and use your left hand to pull the right knee all the way over to the left. Your right arm stays out to the side so you can see me extending my right arm out towards the sunlight in the room, and then twist all the way over onto your left hip. So you see me coming all the way, and you'll see the sacrum ends up perpendicular to the floor back here. So I'm not leaning back. If I can help it, I actually go this far so that the back of the body at the level of the sacrum ends up in that perpendicular position. The little toe of the left foot ends up on the floor. Now, if I'm a little tight in the spine or the hip, I might not go that far, and that's okay. It's better to stop ahead of time than to let the shoulder lift up and have all this tension in the back of the arm and the neck. Now let's release, come out on an inhale, and we'll switch sides. This time, I'll do the demonstration from this way. And remember, I'm going to be mirroring you. So this will be your right leg. This will be your left leg. The left arm is out to the side on the floor, no props in the way, and then use that right arm to pull you over to the left. Notice that the little toe ended up on the floor. Can you see that in the camera? It's hard to see that in the camera. I apologize for that. It's hard when you're dealing with the station. I need a cameraman, don't I? One more breath, and inhale out you come, and relax. And then just check and see what you've managed to do for yourself while doing the warm-ups, the openings. Now let's do some hip openers, because if you have low back pain, you know that the hips are very related to that. So let's use the belt to help us stretch our hamstring. We'll actually do all 3 of the straight leg hip openers. And if you need a blanket for when we take the leg out to the side, or a prop like an egg or a bolster or a sofa cushion, because you've got all kinds of things in your house you can use, then go ahead and have that ready. And we'll show you more about what to do with that if you don't know what I'm talking about when we get there. But right now, all you're going to do is lie on your back and take your right leg up. Place the belt at the head of the heel, which is the seam where the arch of the foot and the heel meet. Notice that I reach up to hold the belt and then drop the shoulders down. And then make your left leg roll in and press down. If you look at the camera, you can see that I'm keeping my knees straight. A stretch like that where the knee is bent isn't as effective as if you can make the leg completely straight. So if you take the leg down and it straightens there, better to stretch it here than here. Or if you're a little bit more flexible, go ahead and take the leg to your point right before the discomfort. It's like you can feel a stretchy sensation, but you're not miserable with it. Do check to make sure you reach up to hold the belts, both hands, and then drop the shoulders. Sometimes you have issues in your fingers, your hands. You might want to wrap the belt around your hands or even make a loop and let the fingers drape over the loop. All those methods are fine. Now we've been there long enough. Let's release the right leg and we'll do the left leg. To catch the opposite foot or either the first foot, you can always have the leg that's going to be on the floor bent at first. When you take the left leg up, once you get it straight, go ahead and stretch the right leg out and press it down. One exception would be if you have a lot of pain, sometimes trying to stretch the bottom leg out is really uncomfortable. We would love for it to press down and ground and also help open up the front of the pelvis on the opposite side. But sometimes we just have to accept that it's more comfortable to have the opposite leg, which would be the right leg on this side, bent with the foot flat. Again, investigate and see if your leg is actually straight. Sometimes we think it's straight because we can feel the back of the leg stretching, but it's really not a fully straight leg, which means that some of the fibers of the hamstring are contracting instead of lengthening. I hope everybody's pets are doing okay, enjoying the practice. They're probably watching more than they are doing it. Now let's release the right leg. Now in the left leg, we're going to do a little hip traction with that one, but don't worry, we're not going to set that extra belt up that some of you know we use because not everybody has two belts at home. But let's go ahead and take that right leg back up and stretch the left leg out on the floor. Put both of the belt ends into your left hand. And to do the traction, to create a little space, you stick your thumb in the hip crease and cup the hand on the outer right hip. Press the thumb towards the thigh bone and then give the thigh bone a little rotation with your hand so that it feels like you're rolling the hip down towards the left foot. That creates a little space in the joint, and then cross the leg to the left so that the big toe lines up with your left shoulder. This is for the outer hip. It may be hard to see from the angle that I'm at, so I'm going to turn this way. So now you can see my right leg. My thumb is in the hip crease, and now I cross that leg like this. It doesn't have to go very far before you feel the stretch. It's not a twist. It's actually just the movement of the thigh bone. And if you look at the left leg, which since I'm not mirroring you, since I rotated, the left leg, which is this leg on the floor, should not roll out. It should stay pointed up with the toes. Let's come out of this practice. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, release the leg. Now let's do the other side. I'm going to turn this way and do the left leg. Once again, straighten the left leg. Hold both of the belt ends into your right hand. Take your left thumb, stick it in the hip crease, cut the hip, and roll the hip away. Then cross the leg to the right so that your big toe, your left big toe, lines up with your outer right shoulder. This is important to remember to do when you're doing it on your own, because if the leg goes any further, it becomes a twist and you'll actually decrease the focus on the outer hip. We hold a lot of tension in this area of the pelvis, some of us. And so this is an opportunity to release and let go of that with your intention and your breath. There's something else that we want to make sure we understand. The purpose of this thumb traction and hip rotation is to place the thigh bone in the most optimal position with a little joint traction for the best result of the practice. On an inhale, lift the leg up and release. Now let's do the inner thigh. I'm going to turn this way because I said if you wanted to, you could actually put a blanket or something, a prop, to the right and let that blanket or prop support your leg. The leg is heavy, and since this is a back care class, Too much weight pulling at the hip joint could increase back tension. So I'm going to take the right leg up, and you can watch for just a moment if you want to see what's going to happen. The left leg is going to stay stationary and grounded, and the right leg is going to the side. And now it's going to rest on this blanket right here. I don't lift it so much with a prop that I don't get the inner thigh stretch. I just want it supported while I'm getting the inner thigh stretch. So hopefully that makes sense. Now the left leg, which is this leg right here, sometimes rolls out and sometimes sneaks off to the side. So pay close attention and don't let that leg sneak off. Okay, has everyone got that? Good. Now take a deep breath right here, press out through your heel, and on the exhale, draw the abdominal muscles down towards the spine and lift that leg up. And then release. Now you have a prop, some of you, that you're supporting your leg with, so I'll move that over to the left. This is an optional prop and really just recommended for those people who need that support because the leg is heavy and pulls on the low back. So now we have the left leg in position, and we'll take the leg to the side and then support it only as much as you need so that you still get the stretch, but you don't feel the weight of the leg trying to pull you over to the left. Keep the right leg grounded and breathe. The muscles that we have stretched, the hamstrings, which is the back of the thigh, the outer hip, and now the inner thigh, all three of those groups can be responsible for low back pain. On your next exhale, lift the leg up, pull the abdominal muscles down towards the spine to support it, and then release the leg. Let's take that belt and set it off to the side with your blanket. And then let's do eye of the needle. Now for that practice, I'm going to get up and turn around and position myself this way. And I won't be mirroring you because if you look up, I'm going to be doing the same side you are. With your knees bent, lift the right leg up and cross it over the left leg. So many of you know this pose is the eye of the needle, and that's fine. They call it all kinds of things out there near the land. Pull the toes towards the shin to protect the knee, and then bring the left leg towards you. Then reach the right arm through that little window you've created with the two legs and the left arm around and hold the shin or hold behind the leg. Sometimes this is difficult for some people to get the left foot to lift off the floor. You can also practice with the foot still on the floor and just let the stretch be there. The important thing is to feel that stretch underneath the right buttock, and just put the breath, direct your breathing into that hip. So we've added, it'll be really easy to remember this. I've done 3 straight leg hip openers, and now I'm doing one with the muscle underneath the buttock is getting stretched. So you can just wrap your mind around a simple way to remember it. 3 straight leg things, and now 1 under the buttock, and the second thing will be the one in the front. One in the back will be the piriformis, and one in the front will be the hip flexor. Let's switch sides. Let's do the other one in the back, which is cross the left leg over the right. Remember, we've got to keep the knee safe, so pull the toes up towards the knee and then lift the right foot up. Now we're going to hug the right leg if we can. Sometimes it's hard to reach that. So doing the best you can. You've got your shin, you've got behind the leg. You could even put the foot down and maybe being on your flat foot is all the stretch you need. Or lifting the heel could add some more. Again, there's so many variations of how you can do this and maintain a comfortable way of practice. This muscle definitely needs to be on your to-do list. Now let's release that leg, and because the knee is a little wobbly after we do a practice like that, stretch your legs out. Squeeze the thigh muscles and press the backs of the legs down to the floor. Do that 2 more times. Squeeze the thighs and press down. And while you're doing this, make sure that you don't roll the legs out or in, that your kneecaps face the ceiling. Good. Now we're going to come up into all fours and do the movement of the spine practice. Go ahead and roll over. The pose is actually called, or the practice is called Madrasana, which means calf. But we also like to call it the cat and the cow. It's like the perfect practice for someone with back tension. So let's come into all fours and then round the back. That's your exhale. And arch the back. That's your inhale. Let's do that several times, just breathing and moving. And then as you're doing it, see where you feel the tight places. Okay, now we've identified the tight places, so that's where we put the intention, to loosen up and improve the mobility in that area. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, and I don't know if your breath is with me or not, and exhale, that's the rounded back, and 2 more. Now, we're getting ready to do a child's pose when we come to the last cat pose, the one with the rounded arched back. You come to neutral and you begin to move the hips back towards the heels and stretch the arms forward. It's nice if you can let the forehead relax all the way down on the floor. If it doesn't, you can always place the forehead on a block. If the ankles are tight, you could always be on a blanket like me with the tops of the feet hanging off the edge of the blanket. That'll help release some of the pressure. And you can also roll the blanket up a little bit, and that'll also fit into the instep and give the feet a little bit of a relief. If the knees are if the muscles in front of the knees are tight, sometimes trying to hold the child's pose feels uncomfortable with the hips dropping down towards the heels. So you could place a blanket right behind the thigh bones and the hips, so that as you're reaching back, the tops of the back of the thighs rest on the tops of the calves via the blanket. We're now going to actually take the child's pose and do a side bend stretch, because one of the other muscles, this one's in the waist, that bothers us sometimes is the waist one called the quadratus lumborum. You don't have to worry about the name of the muscle. That's what we're going to stretch. So like this in child's pose. And let's walk our hands over here to the right, but keep the hips right where they are and breathe into the left side of your body. What we're hoping is that you can feel this opening in the left side. The waist muscle, the muscle between the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the pelvis, gets really tight, especially with people with back pain. Now come back to the middle and we'll do the other side. And then come to the middle, slide your hands back and put them on your shoulders and press yourself up. Now continue with the hips. You're right. You figured it out already. We got to do the lunges. We have to stretch the hip flexors. The second most annoying hip muscle that has involvement in our low back pain. So let's come back into all fours, and this time have these blocks at the front of the mat. I'm going to go ahead and have them in the middle position and my hands up on the blocks like this. It'll give me a little bit more room to swing the right foot forward and then get it up to the front of the mat, even with the arms, and then look down and make sure that your knee, your right knee, is over your left ankle. Then scoochie the left knee back until it doesn't go back anymore. Once it's gone back as far as it will, there's a chance you pulled it back a little bit. So we're going to actively move the left hip back forward. And then make your arms like legs, holding the upper body up. Notice I don't look up. I'm focusing more on the left hip flexor than trying to create a full back body back bend. It's also a nice way to make sure my neck doesn't get tense. Now let's change legs. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, take the right leg back, take the left foot forward. On another exhale, If it doesn't make it forward right away, you just grab it and help it. You just give it some little lifts to make sure you've got the right stretch. Check and make sure your knee is over your ankle, and then scoot the right leg back until it won't go anymore. Once you're in position, move the right hip forward. There you are, stretching in the lunge. So many of us, it's our favorite. And even while that may be a little sarcastic joke, it is important, especially if we're going to be sequestered at home and we have to sit a lot. Let's come out on an exhale. And before we do our next set of lunges, stretch out in child's pose. I'm going to move the blocks off to the side so I can reach my arms forward and drop down. Remember, you can support the head on one of your blocks or use a blanket. Slide your hands beneath your shoulders, push up with your arms, and then come back to the blocks at the front of the mat. Let's take that right leg forward again, and this time we're going to lift the back leg knee. But I've got good news for anyone who gets here and finds out that once the knee is over the ankle, lifting the back leg knee is a little bit of a challenge, and that could happen. So you could stay here and benefit from the second repetition or the repetition of the first practice. And then some of us will go ahead and tuck the left toes and lift the left knee. Now, if you look at my back leg for a moment, you can see the knee is bent. I've got to try and supercharge that leg. So I give that left thigh muscle full power. And then, because it sometimes helps my right hip to lift, we counter that by dropping the right hip. The right hip drops and the left thigh lifts. Check to make sure that your right knee is directly over your right ankle. Take a deep breath here, and on the exhale, release and go back to all fours, and let's take the left leg forward. Inhale, and on the exhale, your left leg is forward. The knee is over the ankle. You scoot the right knee back, and get ready. Tuck your right toes and lift your right knee. Watch that right knee. It'll sometimes sink. Give it full power. It helps to lift the left hip, but we don't want the left hip to lift. So you have to drop the left hip at the same time that you're working the right thigh bone up. Let's place the knee down, release the left leg, and once again, stretch out in the child's pose. I'm going to move the blocks off the mat and give my arms plenty of room to just stretch forward. Now, let's do a little bit of something for the back strength. As we get ready to do balancing cat, make sure that your spine is not sagging like the cow or over rounded and arched like the cat. Stay in neutral position and take your right leg back. Hold it level to the floor without lifting the pelvis, and then take your left arm by your left ear. So check to make sure that you're doing opposite arm and opposite leg. Right leg reaches back, left arm reaches forward, and squeeze the abdominal muscles against your abdominal organs. Now release and switch sides. Left leg up, level to the floor, again without lifting the hip, just the leg, and take your right arm by your right ear. If you let the abdominal organs sag, you'll probably feel it in your lower back. So you have to keep the muscles tight, the abdominal muscles, that is. And then place your right hand down and your left knee. Now this time we'll do it and we'll count 3 breaths on each side. So you might switch before I do or before your neighbor does. Let's do it. Take the right leg up and the left arm up. And now begin to count your breaths. When you're finished, simply put the right knee down and the left hand down and go ahead on your own and switch sides. Count 3 breaths again. And then after the third breath, place your right hand down, your left knee down, and stretch back in child's pose. Since we're working on strengthening the back body, now would probably be a good time to strengthen the front body. We did a little bit of that when we were using the abdominal muscles to help support us in the balancing cat. You have to activate the core stabilizers or your spine sort of drops forward into the body. But let's do a very basic, simple abdominal squeeze. So, not needing any props unless you absolutely have to have something beneath the head. You'll lie down and have your knees bent and your feet flat. Now remember, this one is very simple and basic. You place your hands behind your head because we don't want to create any tension in the neck. So trust yourself to hold your own head. And then do a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt, which means you kind of tug the pelvis so that you can feel the tailbone lifting up. It doesn't necessarily flatten your low back, but it lengthens the lumbar spine and helps you to keep these bottom ribs on the floor. On an exhale, just squeeze the abdominal muscles and feel your upper body lift up, but inhale, come down. So it's not a big sit-up where you're trying to jerk yourself up to meet the knees. It's just an abdominal squeeze and release. That's all it is. Let's shoot for 10, but remember, you're in charge and no one can see but you. I'm on number 4. And here's 5. So if my goal were 10 squeezes in the front abdominal wall, I'm halfway there. And you could even say, let me sit 2 out. I'll sit 2 of his squeezes out, and then I'll jump back in. So your goal is maybe 8, so you could take a break if you wanted to. Or maybe you made it to 3 or 4, and that was enough. We set the goal just to encourage you to work towards it. But if you at this point feel like you could do 2 more, just squeeze up. Again, slow and controlled, not a big jerky movement, not any higher than what you can do with the abdominal muscles, and then release and let go. Now let these muscles in the abdominal wall become very soft. Let a couple of deep breaths help cool them down. Wonderful. Now we're going to do downward facing dog. Roll over to your side. Now the sad thing is that in this dog pose, you won't be able to just hang from the yoga wall. You're going to be working, but in many of the back care programs that you look at related to yoga pose options, downward facing dog is always in there because you can actually create that feeling of lengthening the spine through the recoil and the strength of your legs. Let's try it. Some of you know this. If you need to put a blanket down for your knees, then do that. The floor can be kind of hard. Some of you are at home on carpet, and I bet you love it. When you get ready to go up in dog pose, stretch back in child's pose first and slide your hands forward. And then come up into all fours and tuck your toes. Now, before we get much further, if you are new to yoga and this pose seems odd to you and hard for you, I'm going to ask you to show a variation. So just bear with me and let everyone else get up into the posture. Inhale and exhale. Up we come. Now remember, we're using this to help lengthen the spine. So press the fingernails down the heel of the hand. While the shoulder blades stay wide, let the hips pull the spine away from the shoulders, and then straighten your legs with the heels moving towards the floor, but not pressing on the floor because that may cause the low back to lift up out of the body. We want to make the practice about the spine. Now I'm going to go ahead and come down, and you all stay for a few more breaths if you can. Challenge yourself, and let me just show you what we could do if that pose was too difficult. We could simply go to the wall and do our downward facing dog shape like a half forward bend. That way there's no problems on the shoulders or the wrist. When you're doing the half dog pose at the wall, make sure you don't hang your head. You can hear what happens to my throat. Also, don't lift up and create tension in your neck. Everyone, come down and rest in dog pose or step to the wall if you're doing the half forward bend or the half dog pose and rest for a moment. We'll do that practice again. And if you were in dog pose and you thought, oh, that was just horrible, then do the half forward bend. By the way, this is a good time to sneak into the kitchen and do the kitchen sink stretch. You could hold onto the kitchen sink and simply lean back. So I'll let some of you do that. And some of you are going to stay here and do downward facing dog with me. Let's do it. Tuck your toes. On an exhale, lift the knees up. Don't be in a hurry to straighten the knees. Lift the body bones more and then straighten the legs. While keeping the shoulder blades wide, pull the hips back. Okay, now some of you who are in the kitchen doing the kitchen sink stretch are probably finished and are coming. Oh, you might like it too much. You might not come back. But go ahead and come back, and we'll all either come out of the child's pose, or out of dog pose into child's pose, or come down off the wall and join us in child's pose. We'll all be here for a moment. And then slide your hands back and push your shoulders up, and you're ready to do some shoulder work. Let's do it in standing, and then we don't have to worry so much about what our legs are doing. Just stand up and use the leg strength for a while, because after we do the shoulder work, we are going to do one very important yoga posture for the back. Out of all the standing postures, this one in particular is the best one for the shoulders. So here we go. Take your belt and hold it wide like this, and don't hurt yourself as you come up on an inhale and then drop the belt behind you on an exhale. If you have any clicks or pops or bumps, pull the belt tight and try to see if that will help you go over and back in front without discomfort. You can always go wider, and you can always go more narrow if this is easy. Let's see if we can do it about 3 times. And what I mean by that is when we start here at the beginning. Inhale up, exhale behind you. Inhale up, exhale in front. Inhale up, exhale behind you. Inhale up, exhale in front. Oh, we've got one more in it, I'm sure of it. And you can always just do it without the belt, because if you find it difficult because of a shoulder issue that the arms don't work equally enough for me to do it, then do it without the belt, or just do it halfway and back down. Now let's hold the belt behind us or interlace the fingers. If I go to interlace the fingers behind me like this, and I still have the belt in my hands, let me actually put the belt down to clarify what it will look like. And roll the shoulders towards each other, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then lift the arms. That'll help stretch across the front of the chest and shoulders. Sometimes the shoulders are pretty tight and we don't get much lift. If I hold the belt with the palms facing forward and then lift the arms, you can see how much more lift I get. Now squeeze the shoulder blades together and down the back, and then drop the head forward. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths. And then release. Now, as promised, the standing pose that's really wonderful for back issues, and you've already figured it out, I'm sure of it, triangle pose. Now, you could put your hand on your leg in triangle pose if you don't have blocks. However, we're looking at trying to help the body, and I don't always think that putting the hand on your shin is the best option, but if that's the only prop you've got, that's fine. You could use your blocks. Now, because I'm addressing spinal issues, If I go so far over that the spine collapses, then I might want to use a block and a half on the right side. Or you could use just a block. And then some of us might want to be positioned where we can use a piece of furniture because we shouldn't go down very far at all. And then there's one more option. I told you I was going to give you a lot of options. You could use a chair or a piece of furniture, like I'm going to show. This is how I'm going to do my pose. You could also back all the way up against a wall and do it with your body flat against the wall. Let's start in mountain posture, because if we're working on our body with full of pain and discomfort, make sure that you're practicing good alignment. Now bring your hands up here to your heart, bend your knees, and step the feet wide apart. Turn the left foot in and turn your right leg out. Now it's very important that you create some stability by squeezing your thigh muscles. Reach out over the right leg so you can see my pelvis sort of shifts to the left as my arm reaches to the right, and then place your hand on the chair, the sofa edge, the coffee table, the block, whatever's handy, and then lift your left arm up. Notice I don't take the arm straight up, because that would mean it shortens the muscle area between my shoulder and my neck. So I take the arm so that it's a 90-degree angle to my spine. The bottom arm is just going to be under the shoulder, supporting me at whatever level I come to. Again, I want to be where this side of the spine is as open as the top side. Then turn the torso so that the bottom ribs come forward and the top ribs go back. That'll also help with releasing tension in the spinal muscles. We've been there pretty good amount of time, so let's inhale and come up and turn the feet forward. Let's step the feet together on an exhale, bend the knees and exhale. Step your feet together, and we're going to move the props if we need to, or reposition ourselves to use that piece of furniture, and I'm just going to move my chair. Now we'll take the pose to the left. Bend the knees, step the feet wide apart. Well, since I'm using a chair, my foot kind of goes under the chair a little bit, that left foot. When I turn that leg out, I want to make sure the kneecap faces 90 degrees from where it started, and turn the right foot in just a little bit. Once again, as I reach out over the left leg, make sure your hips are going to the right, and bring your hand down to the block, the chair, whatever surface you can park that on. Now remember, if this arm reaches up, it creates some tension in the neck. So don't reach it up too high. Let it stay perpendicular to your spine. And of course, while you're here, breathe. And check again and see if you can bring the bottom ribs a little bit more forward and take the top ribs back. No, I hope you're not holding your breath because I got quiet. That just is giving you a chance to soak in the pose and breathe. Be strong in your legs, and inhale up you come. Turn your feet forward. Let's use another breath to step the feet together and release the arms by your side. Now I want to do a practice called articulating bridge. In this pose, you go up into bridge posture, and you can roll up onto the outer upper shoulders if you want. You can also do it without rolling up on the shoulders. And what we mean by articulating bridge is that as you come down very slowly, you try to articulate each vertebrae with the floor. Not everyone, because you can only do from about maybe right below the shoulder blades on down. So it's going to be a very slow descent. So it's another way of trying to unravel the tension in the spine. Let's try it. So I'm coming down. I'm going to clear my mat of all the extra props. Lie down. Up you come. Now, if you want to, you could like hold the edges of the mat or your fingers together and roll onto the outer upper shoulders. Now get a nice lift as far as you comfortably can. Make sure that you're not letting the pelvis go into that, like the pubic bone going to the legs and the sacrum coming towards the back, because that will create compression. So do the opposite. Take the pubic bone towards the face. Take the sacrum tailbone towards the knees. Now, if you've interlaced the fingers, or if you've been holding onto your mat with your shoulders tucked under, let that go so you can now come down slowly. And as you begin to exhale, what can you find to touch the floor first? And then the next vertebra, and then the next, and the next, and the next. Very slowly. It'll take multiple exhales. And you do it, you might feel an area go kind of clunk. Maybe there's a couple of vertebrae that have actually got a little stuck together. And that's okay, it's fine. But we're just trying to see if we can increase the mobility. One joint at a time. Once you come down, once you finally land, you just relax for a moment. Now, the first time is sort of like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if I got this or not. The second time we practice, you'll actually probably have it a little bit more refined. So let's do it a second time. I appreciate this practice a lot. I learned it many, many years ago in a physical therapy workshop for Pilates, using Pilates for therapy, physical therapy. And I have used it ever since. It's one of my favorite practices to help people who are trying to get more mobility within the joint. So it's almost like a little self-chiropractic work. Let's try it. Go ahead and lift your pelvis up. Hold the mat or interlace your fingers. Tuck the shoulders under. Be in that full bridge for a moment. This is important too, right? Because it strengthens your back body. And don't turn your head. Now let the arms go. And let's come down one vertebrae at a time. And you exhale and you're releasing. Pause on an inhale. Get some more breath. Go down a few more. Well, there's the clunk. Pause. Go down a few more. Pause. Go down a few more as you exhale. Keep going. And then suddenly you've run out of spine and your pelvis is down. And speaking of pelvis, I'd like to just do, while you're resting a little bit, do a very simple practice of pelvic tuck and tilt. This is a refinement of being able to isolate the movement of the pelvis from the spine. As you exhale, lower the back of the top of the back of the pelvis towards the floor so you can feel the tailbone scoop up. And then as you inhale, feel the tailbone dropping and these hip points lifting. And the lower back will arch a little. Exhale, pelvic tuck. Inhale, pelvic tilt. And as you're doing this, you're trying to differentiate the movement of the pelvis and the spine. Now, of course, with the sacrum perched between two pelvic bones, you're going to affect the movements of the spine. But when we're very rigid, a lot of times, it's like we go into a pelvic tilt and the ribs come way up. So we want to make sure that these ribs stay soft. You can even put your hands on your lower ribs and do a few rounds and see if you can keep your bottom ribs down on the floor while doing the pelvic tuck and the pelvic tilt. Let's do it one more time. And then pause. Oh, that's a little relaxing, isn't it? I didn't mean to get you all so relaxed yet. Because now we're going to do another bridge and just hold it and come down. So let's do the All-American High School try, because this again becomes part of strengthening the back body. Pelvic tuck, up you come, and this time hold the mat to stay or interlace your fingers to stay and get your shoulders under you. It is important that you're practicing in a place where your shoulders, your neck, your hips are all comfortable, and your back. If we push too hard, we jam the pelvis up too high, too quick, too soon, you might feel it in your low back. On your next exhale, release the hands and down you come. Let's do that wonderful, famous windshield wiper practice. I'm going to turn this way, and you can see my legs. Line your legs up with the corners with the edges of your mat, and drop your legs over to the right. Inhale, lift the legs, and exhale, go to the other side. We're just going to keep this going with the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release down. Back and forth you go. And what happens with regards to your arms is they can be out to the side, palm up. They can be closer to the torso. You get to decide. Let's go over to the right and stay and add that right foot on that left leg to help pull it down. If you have any knee pain or if it bothers your back, don't do this. But this is for that deeper stretch from the hip, the side waist, and the intercostals, which are your rib muscles. Now release and inhale your legs up and go to the other side and do the same thing. So drop, pause, and wait. Let the left leg be on the right outer leg and just wait and see. If there's any discomfort in the knee, then you know you shouldn't do it. So I hope that everybody has been able to find variations of their practice today that they have enjoyed. Release. And now let's get ourselves set up for Shavasana. So you might have to sit up, you might have everything handy. Some of you, I know, you think about Shavasana before you even get started. So all you have to do is bring that bolster or that pillow or that blanket under your knees and that other blanket under your head. Now, I don't know what the temperature of your house is, but if you're a little cool, you always take a little time, put your socks back on, put your sweatpants on, cover your feet with a cat or a dog. I know I've got a picture of doing Shavasana, and I think about 4 of my dogs are on me. They think that's the perfect time to come and cuddle with the parent. So what will we do with that? Okay, so you get comfortable and don't worry because I won't let you sleep all afternoon. I'll be bringing you out in just a moment and then we'll unmute us so we can say goodbye. take a slow, deep breath into your body. And then exhale softly. Bend your knees. And take a little time to gently rock your legs side to side. Remembering that that is important also because once you've been lying still, the spine can become a little tight again. So you're just rocking the tension out of the spine. And then roll all the way over to your right side and rest there for a moment. Use your hands and your arms and press yourself up to a comfortable seated posture. It's been incredibly wonderful for me to know that I'm sharing time with you today in the practice of yoga and helping us to take care of our spines, even when we can't be together. May every day be filled with love and light and laughter. Namaste.